Welcome back, Bitcoin accumulation country. My name is Phil. This is the Fun with Bitcoin podcast. We are in season 2, and this is episode 50. Well, thank you very much for joining me. We're coming up on the end of the year, and this is going to be one of the final episodes of the year. I think I've got one more interview, and like last year, I'm probably going to do a shout out episode around New Year's. You know, just to give props and thanks to a lot of the Bitcoiners and developers out there that that have made it fun and that have helped me along the way. But anyways, for this episode, I've got a very special announcement. Besides the wonderful person that I'm going to be interviewing from Trezor, I just wanted to announce to everybody that the funwithbitcoin.com website is live. So come and check us out over there. Everything Fun with Bitcoin is up there. And eventually, when I'm done finally converting all of my audio tracks to video format, the YouTube channel is also going to be available. I mean, it's already there now, but it's not really up to date. Okay, no more announcements. Let's jump right into my interview discussion with Katoshi from the Trezor team. She is the head of social media. So let's see what's going on at Trezor with Katoshi. All right, everybody. Thank you very much for joining me on the Fun with Bitcoin podcast. I have a very special guest from the Trezor team, somebody who I actually got to know through the Taco Carnivore Bitcoin Plebes group. And I feel that she's very level-headed, and I always, from the arguments or the discussions that I've seen in the group, I always feel that she brings a very objective point. And you know what? I really wanted to find out what she's all about. So who am I talking about? It's Katoshi from the Trezor team. Katoshi, thank you so much for joining me on my podcast.
Hey, hey, thanks for inviting. This is, I think, a very special event for me because this is like my very first podcast. So thank you very much.
Yay.
Really happy. Yay.
That's awesome. I'm so glad that you chose to come on. And it's Trezor being my my go-to main wallet. It's just it's a privilege for me to actually get somebody from the team to come on and talk. So I really appreciate it. So
yeah. Thanks.
As with tradition on the Fun with Bitcoin podcast, I always like to go into the rabbit hole story. So I'm sure that there was a Katoshi before Bitcoin, and how did you get here?
Well, I would say it's actually a long story. I think it actually started like super long time. Because I was always like kind of anarchistic in my views. And I also studied economics. So for me, it was always like a very interesting question about money in general, like what is the money and what is the value of money? So for me, it was always complicated. And I remember when I studied at the university, I always had to argue with some with some professors or whatever, like about the value of money. And they usually said that I don't understand it, and they ordered me to stay like after the lessons, and then we went through the materials like again and again, and I was like, okay, I will just just learn, just retell whatever you told me, but I will like stay with my own opinion. Yeah, so it was always interesting for me. And then my dad is actually also like a software developer, and he's an IT architect. And
oh, wow.
I remember he told about like new digital money that we will use like in a very near time. But he told that we need like very convenient means to use this money. So and he was waiting for like some kind of wallet, but I think he told about some kind of like web wallet, like convenient web wallets to use Bitcoins. But then actually I completely forgot about it because I was busy arguing at the university, so it just like completely went, just passed by me.
So hold on a
Yeah,
second. I don't mean to cut you off, but so
yeah,
your father is the one that was talking to you about Bitcoin or digital money?
yeah. I think it was him who actually first mentioned it. So I consider this the first time I heard about Bitcoin, but
That's awesome.
but yeah, but I have to say that yeah, I didn't pay attention at first. And then actually I rediscovered Bitcoin a few times after. Um, I remember when I worked in a digital agency, it was some, I don't remember, it was like 215, I guess. So like super long time ago. And there was some news about the next Bitcoin pump. It was, I guess, maybe $50. I don't really remember, but I remember that this news reached us, and everyone in the agency was like having fun and just making fun of this stuff because like some magical internet money. And I was like, no, guys, you don't understand. This is really cool. Like, this is like so much anarchy. Like, I want to know more about this. So yeah, that's how I was like reintroduced again. But there was actually no one in my like uh, close circle who would share this news with me. So I was like completely on my own. Also, I was busy. Yeah, but then yeah, then I just started to work in Bitcoin full time, and that was like pretty awesome. So I think I consider myself like a Bitcoiner probably since the beginning of 2017, I guess. Like, despite I knew about this for quite a long time ago. Yeah, so
Did
that's the story.
did you that's awesome, by the way. I'm going to go back to a couple of things that you said at the beginning.
Mm.
So you said you consider yourself a Bitcoiner since 2017. So did you ever get sucked into shitcoins? Like
Um,
did you ever
yeah.
understand that there, because you go the your roots go back to like anarchy, and we're gonna talk about that, but
Mhm.
yeah, so did shitcoins ever fascinate you? Did you ever get fooled?
No,
It
actually, I had some like very small portfolio when I worked at a payment provider because they had their own token. It was like the beginning of 2017. It was so ambitious, and the market was just growing every day. Yeah, so I had a portfolio, and I wanted to learn trading actually. So I kept it just to try this stuff. And yeah, that were actually like pretty funny times. I remember that I pumped some shit coins on some dead exchange. It was super fun. And then some people in the chat got those signals from the bot, and they were like, "Oh, it's pumping," and I was like just having fun there. Yeah, but actually never considered it as something serious. I
so
mean,
like it was just fun for you, right? Like
yeah,
you
just fun. Yeah, and maybe learning trading because I was interested like how it works and all those signals and sentiments, how it just drives the market. It was pretty interesting for me because this was a little bit a part of my job because I remember every time we launched ads, the price of the token grew, and yeah, that was that was actually a little bit stupid fun. And yeah, I think that's basically always shitcoins. So that's it.
That's awesome. Um, okay, so I want to go back to something you started with saying. So, what was it that got you into thinking that there's something wrong? Because at least for me, as a kid growing up and looking around, like I just inherently was a critical thinker, and I was like, why are we just accepting this? Like when it was explained to me that the money that
Hmm.
the government just prints money and we just all use it and we just accept this, and it's just
Hmm.
like, so I guess what was it that made you think that there's something wrong or something
Well,
can be better?
Well, I was born in Ukraine, and I still like have my family here. So for me, it was always like tied really hard with the hard economic situation in the country. Um, I remember that it started really to blow me off when we started to take a lot of credits from IMF,
Mm-hmm.
and I know that from like economic perspective, this is just it just turns country like more into poverty, so people don't actually get anything. It just creates more debt, and like the country survives as long as it takes those credits from IMF. So if it stops just to take those credits, I mean the economy will be like in the total S.
Mm-hmm.
So basically like nothing actually fix anything. Yeah, so and I didn't want it because we had quite a lot of crisis here, and after 2008, actually it was a time when we started to take those credits like more actively. And for me, it seemed like a very wrong move because we don't create anything. We just make poor people even more poor. So yeah, and from the other point, like what you have said, that just printing money. I mean, what is the value of that money? And I learned a little bit when I started to learn about money, just about the history of money. And for me, it was just fascinating that, like, in the very early times, money had some social value.
Mm-hmm.
And I was always like looking for that value in the modern money. And I actually can't find it because, like, as you say, it's just printing. And that's how we just make like the global economy sufficient. Yeah, but I mean, just the whole cycle of the money, like creation, and then when you get this money as a wage, and then when you spend this money, I mean, all this cycle seems like so fake, and it
Yep.
also reflects on the goods and just products that we buy and that are being created. I'm sorry for the notification.
No, no, not at all. It's I mean, it makes perfect sense, right? Because when the money is cheap, the production is cheap, right? Like,
Mhm.
let's face it, you know, you're not incentivized to build higher quality or lower time preference type of products, right? That would last you longer or
Mhm.
anything like that. Why would you? You know,
Yeah, I mean, mhm. Yeah, exactly. I think that like this whole economy, like because the money don't have this value, and then economy just starts to be like really fake, and the products, like, do we need that many products? I guess no, because like even 70% of people like in the whole world, they don't give a fuck about like all the brands that exist. So, I mean, this is just like pure statistics. So people don't give a fuck about these products. They actually, we just forced into this consumerism. And for me, as economist, it was a little bit strange to study economics, but also have this like this type of thinking, because it goes just in a totally different direction. But I would say that this rabbit hole was much bigger than just money. It was also about like economics and about just in general our lives, and that we spend so much time on just making this economics run. But in the end, we just don't have time for ourselves. So what actually do we do here? And I'm really happy to hear that, for example, when I was talking to my colleague, and he said that Bitcoin totally changed my life because I don't work at the bullshit jobs anymore. And this is really cool. And if someone is actually interested into digging in this more, because I think it's really very connected, I really recommend to read a book by Grabber, and it is called Bullshit Jobs. So it really much explains all this like social economics processes that happen in the world right now, and I
so
think that Bitcoin is very much the answer.
so hold on a second. It's called bullshit jobs.
Yes.
Awesome. All right, so I'm gonna I'll we'll post a link to that in the show notes. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I never
cool.
heard of that book. That's pretty cool. I was actually
Yeah. Mhm.
I was just going to ask you, because just to go back to what you were talking about, about like anarchy and whatnot. Like, was there any books? I mean, besides what you saw, what was going on in the world, like, was there any like literature, any books that really like struck a chord with you that you read back then, that you remember?
Yeah, I remember that I read pretty a lot of different literature. I always like to read something like on the edge of different disciplines, just to understand like the processes that happen like in the bigger depth. And um, I'm just trying to remember what actually influenced me that time. I remember that I was very much into like spiritual growth and stuff, and that also
Yep.
made me think about. I think it's very much like connected when you start to think like about some spiritual things. Like in the end, you come to the like, okay, what am I doing here? How can I spend my time better? And then you start to dig, and in the end, you just see this like the whole system of the world and how much it is flawed and crooked and
And
yeah.
how
So yeah, I'm
it?
just trying to find some books because I have this problem. I don't remember the authors. I can remember the names or the details from the books, like what was actually said or even paragraphs, but I don't remember the names. But
No, no, no worries. We'll come back to it.
oh, great.
Yeah, yeah, we'll come back to it. That's all good. But here, just switching gears though. So then, like, when did you start working in Bitcoin? You said like what was it, 2017?
Yeah, it was yeah 2017.
What was the
Um,
what was the
mhm.
first project that you worked on?
It was like the payments of future, and it was like very ambitious, just to like basically to make a reserve payment ecosystem.
Yeah.
Well, I can't really explain it, but I thought that this is like very innovative and really cool. And I remember that people were so motivated to make it. And they actually hunted me from the job I really loved. So I was like very hesitating, um, just should I join or not? But
Oh
then I
wow.
decided, but yeah, it didn't last actually for long because as soon as we started to work, we saw so many flaws just in the management,
Mm-hmm.
and in the end, it actually turned out that owners wanted to basically like to scam people, and that was the point,
Oh.
yeah, when I decided to quit. But also I was I always actually care about like people more than the job. So for me, it was like I'm quitting 100%, but I need to just to warn people, and it was like very complicated because I couldn't say anyone, like very directly, like guys, just get off the shit because this is some shit is happening.
Yep.
So I couldn't. Yeah, but I teamed up with some community members, and we made like a really good research about like what is happening, and actually, what the funny thing why we started it because this company was scammed by another company.
What?
Yeah, it's like 2017 were very wild times when everyone wanted to scam everyone, so it was like really, really like very uh, interesting scenario when you're a big company but you're scammed by another company.
Yeah.
This is so funny. So we started from investigating that scam company, and yeah, I mean, it was just crazy. We found all the data like on people and stuff. I mean, the scammers were not very smart.
Yeah. They
Yeah, so
weren't
we
very
made a
sophisticated.
yeah, not very sophisticated. Yeah, so we just made a report and shared it with community like anonymously, and I think since then it was like pretty clear. Yeah, but actually, yeah, I still believe that they still have their chats and people are probably waiting for something there, because even in March of this year I checked the chat because I was really curious, and there
Yep.
were still some people. So I don't know, maybe it's just some illness. I don't know.
It's really bad because you're talking about scams like I mean back in 2017, right? We had like
Hmm.
BitConnect and all that crap, and
Yeah.
there are tons of people that are just sitting there,
Hmm.
still waiting for the
Hmm.
for whatever it is to pump. So it's like it's just sad, It's like these people don't want to let go, and it's like, listen, like whoever it was that took your money is long gone, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
But I actually think these people, um, I think they understand all that risks and possibilities and that they can be scammed because, like, why they are there, like, at the first reason, like, to be to is just for the fast gains.
mm-hmm.
So you can't really, you can't really meet any fundamentalists there. So.
um yeah, no, absolutely. Let me ask you this. So after you were done with that project, what was the next step?
The next step was I really wanted to find some project which has a real product, and it was really hard. I remember there were like quite a lot of open positions, but nothing so interesting. But also, I was not in a very good situation because I had to quit like really fast. Um, so basically, I had to find like like today I'm quitting and tomorrow I needed to get something else. So I joined the cryptocurrency exchange and
Cool.
yeah, worked there for almost a year. Um, I think it was really a cool project. We were really motivated and we worked on implementing as many fiat gateways as possible just to make
Oh,
crypto more accessible to people.
so let me ask you something about fiat
Hmm.
gateways. Is
Hmm.
it like how difficult? I mean, I don't know how much you know about it, but like,
Hmm.
how difficult is it to get set up? Because I honestly believe that like that is one of the biggest barriers to entry,
Hmm.
and I feel like you need a lot of lawyers, and I feel like you need a lot of just a lot of funding to be able to push that part through.
Yeah, that's true. Well, we implemented maybe like three or four, but the problem was they actually had like really high fees, and of course, users didn't like it. And also, there are many restrictions, like geographical restrictions. Also, then the amounts, like on how many physically bitcoins you can buy, like the withdrawals and all that stuff. It was like really complicated, and
Oh
also
wow.
the KYC stuff. Uh, like many people don't like it. I don't like it as well, but for some people, it's really a solution. Yeah,
Hmm.
so it was, yeah, it was, I would say it was quite a nightmare to find the really convenient payment provider. And as far as I know, like you can't have like just one, you will have like 10, 20, and just give this variety.
And everybody, you're
Yeah.
paying different fees, and everybody has different agreements.
Yeah, different agreements. Like they have all their own jurisdictions and stuff, and yeah, it was a nightmare,
So,
really.
so let me ask you this: how did you get to working with on Trezor? Because I mean, like Trezor's like I mean, if I was to sit there and think of like the Bitcoin companies, right? There's like there's Blockstream, there's Lightning Labs, you've got Kaza, there's like there's obviously Traces companies like Armory, like there's some there's like some big names, and to me Trezor, when it comes to hardware wallets, obviously Trezor is to me the standard. So how did you end up on that awesome team?
Well, it happened. It was very strange, and I didn't expect this. And I wasn't even looking for a job. I just wanted to help my friend to find a job. So I just posted a tweet like if someone has some open positions, just post them and just let me know. And I remember that Pavel from Trezor, he replied to this message. I don't even know how did he notice it, because I'm not sure he was like following me. So yeah, the power of the Twitter feed.
That's right.
Yeah, that was amazing. Yeah, and he sent me the link, and I was just looking through, and I was like, okay, so you have just some interesting positions. Maybe I would like to just to apply myself. And it was for me at first. It was just like exploring the possibility, because I was pretty satisfied with my job, and I think I was at a cool position. I was like the chief marketing officer, and here I'm like suddenly doing social media, which is not like my core profile. But I was really, I don't know, just something told me like, yeah, just try. So I told him that probably I will apply at this position, and he was like, "Yeah, I checked your like profiles, and I think you can just fit." And I was like, "Okay." And yeah, the next week I had the interview, and in one week later, yeah, we just committed that they will hire me.
That is
So
awesome.
yeah, that was interesting. So yeah.
So tell me, like, what do you? I guess, like, like, what do you do for Trezor? What do you do at Trezor?
Yeah, usually people even don't ask me this question, because they think that I just like sit in Twitter all the time.
I don't think so. I'm like, I mean, everybody, like, look, everybody's got to do something, and the landscape definitely changes. So,
Mm.
like, it's definitely not just sitting on Twitter.
Yeah, but it's like, like being the head of social media is like, oh, you're probably in Twitter all the time. And I'm like, no, that's only like maybe 20% of my job. Um, Well, I deal just with strategy in general
Hmm.
for all the social media. So basically, it's like creating like a part of communication strategy. Like, what do we say? Like our tone of voice. How do we communicate?
Hmm.
Like which topics we want to just push forward. Like how we want to be perceived, or just like just to be ourselves, and just maybe to gain those like loyal people. I mean, it really can depend on the goals. And then the other part is just doing some part of maybe just business relationships, because somehow I got involved in that. Yeah, so like pretty a lot of stuff. And also what actually goes into general marketing, like some promotions, and even just in product marketing, like constant feedback and stuff. So basically it's like communications in general.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
very
I
cool.
guess. Yeah.
So, so I mean, I don't know if this is really like your aspect, or if you ever get like, do you get people coming to you like offering feedback about the product or anything like that?
Sometimes it happens.
Yeah.
If someone really has feedback, I'm like very open, and I always pass this to the departments who like can get this feedback and do something with it. So every time I see something, I just pass to the people responsible, and we think how we can improve it. But usually I get the response that we are working on it. It's like it's already in the roadmap. So I think in the future we will see like some really cool features to be implemented.
So a couple of I don't know if it was a couple of weeks ago that that I saw this whole like discussion between like what was it, that we were talking about, like between like Trezor and Cold Card, and there was like this whole big argument. I didn't even understand what anybody was arguing about. Um, it was like something like, I don't even know, like, was it a vulnerability that was found, or I don't even know what that was. But I guess the whole reason I'm mentioning this is because
Mhm.
how often do you get like, do you get trolls that just sit there and every freaking tweet that you put out about Trezor just like shit on it? Like, do you get that often? Or
Yeah, I really get that often. And yeah, and
how do
even
you
Pavel
handle
said,
that?
well, um, I don't even know what to say. Sometimes I really get nervous, because it's not that I'm taking it personal. But for me, it's really important how people perceive the brand. And
Mm-hmm.
I really can say that a lot of like bullshit is going on because people have different opinions, but actually, no one from us is an expert.
Mm-hmm.
So,
That's right.
um, yeah, so that's why you have this like small tribes that say like this product is bad and this product is good, but no one can actually verify it.
Nope.
Like except the person who probably says that something is good, something is bad. But I think that yeah, the problem is just probably we have to, I don't know, to cooperate somehow, and just if we really want to know, we can cooperate and learn the hardware together, because I'm like the same user as everyone else. And what I'm actually doing right now, I'm just gathering all the information available about the like architecture, all those chips, blah blah blah, all the stuff, like how it works, like all the like possible vulnerabilities. How can you just pass by some security features and all the stuff? I just want to know it. I just want to understand, and
Yep.
just want to reduce all this bullshit that is going on, and yeah, being thrown on me. So basically, for me, it's like I would say that every week there is like some shitstorm happening. And Pavel even said that you're probably never bored since you joined us. And I'm like, yeah.
I don't see how you can be. But number one, like Bitcoin time just flies by. So like 1 week feels like a year. So
Yeah.
it's just like it seems like so much happens all the time. So I could
Yeah,
definitely
exactly.
see how you're not bored, for sure. Especially not part of Trezor. Like it's always, for some reason, there's always such a battle with the hardware wallets, and I can tell you from like having a small meetup at work and talking to people about all the different hardware wallets and everything like that. It's like it's this is the way I explain it. Okay, this is the way I explain it to
Mhm.
people. Like everybody is going to have a different learning curve, so everybody is going to is going to have a slight variation in the type of hardware wallet that they want to use. Like so meaning that you're a person using a Trezor, you have to be able to use a browser. Like that's about it. It's very simple. It doesn't have like a very extended learning curve, right?
Mhm.
But like, and I'm not shitting on Cold Card in any way. I have two of them. Like I like that product as well. But that product is much more for an advanced user. It doesn't have a simple and advanced. Like if I'm not mistaken, Trezor is eventually or may already have the partially signed Bitcoin transactions or is going to.
Um, Not yet. I
Not
think
yet.
the end of Q1.
But like, and I know to a
Mhm.
technical person that seems like something easy to do. Okay, like that seems
Mhm.
like, oh yeah, like that's an easy thing to do. But to a non-technical person, which is the average person out there, doing
Mhm.
a partially signed Bitcoin transaction with an air-gapped hardware wallet,
Mhm.
that's nerd shit. Like
Yeah.
that's what that is.
Mhm.
Like it's not end user. It's not like what I mean, like retail end user experience.
Yeah,
Like
I
that
agree.
it's
Mhm.
like to me like even like Trezor gets a little bit closer to that. You plug the device in, which we understand, of course. You have the computer, and all of a sudden that makes a possible point of attack and blah blah blah. But like it's easier for a person to understand that, get into it, feel comfortable with what they're doing. So I always tell people, I'm like, you know what, you're going to get a hardware wallet, start with a Trezor, and then once you understand that, if you decide that you need the air gapping and you need these other features, well, then you can start looking at a cold card. So and I know like people
Yeah.
are going to disagree with me on that, and that's perfectly fine. But at the end of the day, you either want people to join this ecosystem and have a positive user experience where they go on to tell other people and you know actually get
Mhm.
to partake in it safely, or you have people that struggle through it and just give up. So you
Yeah,
know
I actually totally agree with you. I'm totally fine with people using different hardwares. I mean, I think like because all of them are different. Like Trezor is open source, Ledger like is not, Cold Card is I would say not fully open source. um,
yeah.
yeah, so I'm totally fine, and I think that everyone should decide what to use, and just according to their like threat model, and according to their like technical literacy, like if they feel they ready, like why not, like do the multi-sig quiz, whatever you want. And yeah, just use it how you want. But I would say that, like, I really agree with you on that Trezor. Like, even for me it was like very easy, because if you look at some other wallets, you just see that tutorials like how to start with blah 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 wallet.
Yeah.
And when I got the Trezor, for me it was like, okay, I will start to do it just without any tutorials. And I was even a little bit scared because it went like so smoothly.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was so easy. Like, I mean, someone will say that I'm just pushing right now some cheap marketing stunt, but really, like a few steps and it was set up. I got like all the stuff, like the backup, the passphrase, and I was like, wait, is that all? And on each step, I was like, no, I'm probably doing something wrong. It can be so easy. But yeah, in the end, it's just super easy and super sleek. And yeah.
I was super nervous. The same thing as you exactly. I was super nervous when I first set up my Trezor. And I thought that it was going to be super complicated and everything like that. And to your point, it really was that simple. And just for disclosure, you know, I don't get paid by Trezor. I'm not sponsored by Trezor or anything like that. So at least you know, like somebody who's not part of that team, I can tell you I really enjoyed the user experience and thought that like it can't be that easy, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So because I definitely was like, I was totally nervous about getting one, and I almost got a ledger. And to be honest, the reason I didn't go with the ledger was that I liked the fact that Trezor is open source. So you know,
Yeah.
like to me, like that's, you know, that was a point of you know, like a point of sale in terms of you know, in terms of the hardware wallet and the security. So yeah.
Yeah.
Just to switch topics though a bit, something a little less Bitcoin, but a little more going back to your philosophy. Because I was looking at your profile, and it says that it says Stoic. So I'm like, I personally I feel terrible, right? It's like there's so many of us that go around and we practice certain things, and we have no idea that they actually have labels or even material behind them. And Stoicism is extremely interesting to me, and I feel like it has a lot of relation to like you know, bare attention, or what they call mindfulness. You know, like I just wanted to know like how did you, I guess like where did that come from, right? And how do you see that fitting in with Bitcoin somehow? And yeah, it's broad. It's a broad question.
Yeah, really broad. Yeah. Well, I think I started to be interested in Stoicism like when I was 18 or so. I really had a depression. That was really the reason why I started to look into some spiritual growth and stuff. And somehow it seems to me like I invented the Stoicism before, like for myself, even before I got to know about this. So it was really cool. I remember like one of that like spiritual practices was like for 2 weeks you just have to stop being a human. It was really a hard exercise because you had to like get rid of all the feelings, and you still have to like live your daily life, but you have to really control your feelings and what you react on or to. So yeah, it was really hard. I remember that at the end, like 2 weeks passed, and I remember that I just started to cry when I saw a kitten, because it was just I was just mind blown by the beauty of the kitten, and I think it really like shifted my reaction, my emotional reactions on everything, because like I think I just realized that in the end it's only we who decide how do we react and on what we react. So yeah, I think I was like very sensitive. I mean, I'm still sensitive, but I can choose like where can I be sensitive or when I just don't want to be sensitive, because I always think like, okay, if I will be like sensitive right now, will it help me, or like what will be the outcome? Like, will I think like rationally or not? So yeah, I think I just it just shifted my thinking process and my reactions, and then I actually like many years later, I was reading through something, and this I remember I was just no, I was just telling something about this process, and someone told me, "Okay, so you're stoic and you don't have like any emotions like after that," and I was like,
No.
"No, you just don't totally understand."
So just to add to what you're saying, like I try to explain this to my father, not through stoicism, but through bare attention and mindfulness,
Mhm,
and he said something very similar. It's like, so what? You're just going to go around like a robot and be emotionless? It's
mhm,
like that's not how
yeah,
that works. It's about controlling your emotions, and
yeah,
and not only that, but it's also about understanding that when you get into an argument or you get into a discussion, oftentimes when a person is reacting, they aren't actually reacting to the situation. They are reacting
mhm,
to their emotional condition at that point.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
exactly. Mhm. Yeah, and I think that it really helps you to cope like with complaining because some people just complain all the time, but I don't know, it just sucks out your energy, and what the point of complaining? So
Hmm.
yeah, I remember that it also helped me just to stop complaining, and I really started to see things like more in a positive way just in life, even when something like that I don't like happens. I'm like, well, like what can I do? I mean, it happened, and now I have to think like, how do I cope with that? But I think that yeah, I don't have that emotions. I don't run. I don't just cry or whatever. I just start to think about like the solutions, like how to cope with that. Yeah, because I think that complaining or just ranting on the thing that you can't control, so you just waste your time.
You waste your
And
time and you waste your energy, and let's be
yeah.
honest, but I think that I don't know if stoicism talks about this, but in the more that you complain, you're just putting that out there, and you're actually
Mhm.
if you believe in this, you're actually giving that negativity to all of your cells, and by saying it out loud, you're actually making it real. So it's like, if somebody sits there and constantly wakes up every morning and says that their life is garbage, it's not going to take long for their life to actually become garbage, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So
I
it
would say that yeah, that reality is very much based on our perception. So how do we perceive ourselves and how do we perceive the world? It's actually the world we live in, and sometimes it doesn't correlate with the like reality of other people, or with some ultimate reality that we cannot know because we don't share this like great consciousness or whatever. So it's all in our head, and how do you manage all that inner stuff? It really pretty much defines your life.
it really does. It absolutely does. Um, do you okay? So for this one, do you have any? Because like I'm even, like even I went and got myself like on Audible, like one of those like the handbook for Stoics. So I have to ask if somebody wants to get into Stoicism or look more into it, do you have any recommendation, like a starting point?
Yeah, there are quite a few good books. Like maybe it would be really good to start with some like personalities. Just read what they have written, like Seneca, for example, or
Seneca.
Epictetus. Yeah,
Seneca. And
and also of course Marcus Aurelius.
that's right. That's right, Mark.
Yeah, I would start with those three guys, and I think it's quite easy to read them, and yeah, I think it will just flow naturally, and the one who will read it will understand that it's not like about being a robot, but yeah, just being mindful.
That's really what it is.
Mm-hmm,
It is truly mindfulness. Um, it's like the philosophy ported over from the East, you know,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
but more applied, let's say, to like more applied to like modern day.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
agree.
so
Yeah.
it's pretty cool. I like it a lot. I didn't even realize like there was this type of application. Like I had been reading this type of stuff, but
Hmm.
in relation to more like magic,
Hmm.
or like like kind of like they call it like Masonic magic in a way. But
Hmm.
it just has to do again with meditation, breathing exercises, and stuff
Hmm.
like that. So it's yeah, it's pretty cool stuff to actually. See this type of application but applied to something a little less, I guess we'd call it like mystical or something like that,
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
stoicism is very like, if you ask me, it's kind of like the application of kind of like consciousness control or conscious
Hmm.
control, but set in like everyday modern life,
Hmm.
so
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think it really helps. I actually find it pretty amazing that even those like Greeks, hey, I see someone I know. Yeah, so they were into those topics like in those ancient times, and we read it today, and we still find it like applicable to our lives. So yeah, that's really amazing that our lives are so different, but the principles are actually stay the same.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And what's interesting is that Stoic principles and whatnot. I mean, these are all like, if you ask me, like these are ancient ideas that have carried forth, and they're timeless. And what makes them
Hmm.
timeless is because they're constantly applicable.
Hmm.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I
Like
agree.
it's pretty cool stuff. So okay,
Thank
we're gonna switch off. We're gonna switch off the philosophical and scaring everybody stuff, and go back to some tech stuff. But okay, so let me ask you this: is there anything that you're allowed to share with us that's coming up for Trezor? Because it's going to be the New Year soon. We're going to have proof of keys.
you.
I mean, proof of keys celebration seems like it should be a Trezor type thing, right? Because Trezor's a hardware wallet, and it helps us prove that we've got our keys. So, do you guys
Yeah.
have anything you're allowed to share? Anything cool or not?
Well, well, I'd love to share like everything I know, but I think that that even I don't know everything. Certainly, some information like is not public, but I think that till the end of year we won't see like some huge major news. But I think that Q1 should be pretty busy.
Cool.
Um, we are going to launch Trezor Suite finally, and that should be a really cool application just to improve the user experience.
I'm sorry. What is it called? Trezor
Trezor Suite,
Trezor suit? Okay,
yeah.
or Trezor suite?
Trezor Suite, no,
Okay.
Trezor Suite, yeah.
Okay. Cool.
um, yeah, it's the type of application like Ledger has.
Okay.
Um, yeah, so it should improve the experience of Trezor users,
Very
and
cool.
yeah, people really demanded that one, so we are working on it. Also, we're working on PSBTs, of course, and I think that we will see that also in Q1. So I guess yeah, that's it.
Very cool. Very cool. Okay, so look, I mean, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I know for you it's like 6 hours later or whatever. So, thank you so much for for coming
Thank
on my
you.
podcast. If people want to reach you, what's the best way to reach you?
The best way is to ping me in Twitter.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm Bitcoin Katya there, so I think that's pretty easy to find me. Yeah,
I'll
so that's it. That's that's my source of everything of communication, news, information. So I'm almost all time there.
Cool, very cool. So I'll put your contact details in the show notes.
Mhm. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you so much
Thanks.
for being on.
Thanks. It was a great talk.
Cheers.
I hope everybody enjoyed my interview with Katoshi from the Trezor team. Her contact details will be in the show notes as well. My contact details, as always. I'm Coin Icarus on Telegram and Twitter. And if you want to reach out to me by email, I'm funwithbitcoin at protonmail.com. And of course, if you want to support the Fun with Bitcoin podcast, just head over to moedarags.com go over to All Clothing and then Fun with Bitcoin Podcast and check out our merch. Catch you all next time. Thanks for listening.